And we're live.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Church Communications Podcast with Katie and Daryl. Today's sponsor is TouchPoint. TouchPoint is a church management system built by the church for the church. They are an online church management platform and mobile app designed to work together to keep your church connected at any time and any place. The newly relaunched TouchPoint mobile app enables church staff, lay leaders, and members to manage giving, check in for classes and small groups, update their contact information, stream sermon audio and video. You can register for events, receive messages, complete ministry tasks, schedule marketing messages, and much more. And because the app integrates with your TouchPoint database, your members' contact information is always correct and up to date. The mission at TouchPoint is to eliminate the need for numerous point solutions and free you from data silos. They want you to see disciples and not data. So you can go to churchcommunications.com/touchpoint to get a free book about the field guide for data-driven ministry. Hi, Daryl.
Hello, Katie. How are you doing?
You know, I'm a little tired. Just got done at the Q conference this week, and I did take a little brief nap. I went to Monell's for lunch today with Niels and Bryce and Nick and DJ Soto, who started Virtual Reality Church.
Oh, wow.
And we had a great time eating lunch at Monell's at the Manor. But if you know anything about Nashville, we have a lot of great Southern food, but it will put you to sleep.
Yes.
It will make you very tired. So I literally came home and went straight to sleep. So that was great. Because I guess I was wore out, but I'd been out late. Conferences do that to you, right?
Yes, they do.
You just want to stay out and talk to people.
Yes.
So I'd been out late and early in the mornings, and I was wore out. So it was a good little nap.
Well, good. Yeah. Conferences can be deceivingly exhausting if you're not, specifically if you all of a sudden you're connecting with people. And
talking about conferences.
Yes. Speaking of conferences, we got one coming up next week.
Next week.
Oh my gosh.
What? Yeah, we never thought this day would come.
Yes. Yeah, that's that was my week. So I'm exhausted, but more mentally exhausted of trying to
think through everything.
And I'm typing at the same time.
And I appreciate that about you, is you're a thinker.
Here's the thing.
You probably use your blinker.
Here's the thing. I have not been in the live event business in a good 5 years since I've come on staff. So all of those muscles are now being used, and they haven't been used this way in a long time. So it's like all the stuff I just forgotten to think about, we got to cover this and who's going to take care of this.
Right.
And then
you're thinking of all those things now.
Yeah. And so, I'm also thinking through by the way, one of our keynote speakers, guess what?
Dropped.
They dropped. Whoops. So guess what? You got to find a keynote speaker. And we did. We have a fantastic replacement. So if you're coming to the conference,
don't worry. It's not Facebook.
No, actually, Mike Glenn, our senior pastor, can't speak because he's got a prior thing that just
a granddaughter coming on the way.
Crazy thing happened. And so Luke McElroy from the SALT conference is jumping in for him, which is fantastic. So It's just all those things, and people are calling. So when they call the front desk, they're directing them to my cell phone. So I got calls today of people going, "Can you open registration back up?"
Yeah.
So that was my morning of people going, "Could you open registration back up for me?" I'm like, so I did. And so if you're kind and nice, I may let you do it if you're still wanting to go to the conference. So there you go.
We can't do it for many more though. So there's 20 of you. Don't think you can all get in.
Yes, please no.
Oh yeah, and also we're doing this conversation over Skype.
Yes, thank you for Skype. Yeah, recorded via piezo and it's on Skype. Yes, so thank you, friends at Skype. So let's dive into the stories this week. We're gonna start off with the light one because the next one after that is a little bit heavy. So a lot of us use Gmail. Some of us use Google Apps as your suite at your church, and some of us use Gmail just for our personal email addresses. And guess what? They're coming out with a brand new design, which when you look at this from the show note links, it looks really nice. So it looks like they're brushing things up a little bit. They're putting the calendar to the right-hand side, kind of letting you almost have an all-in-one type of view of your notes, your to-do list, all this kind of stuff. It looks kind of really nice. It looks like they're
Yeah.
adding some like snooze and a couple other features I think they've had on the
hmm
mobile, but it looks like they're adding it to the desktop as well. So, Katie, I know you are a Gmail power user, I guess, on your personal email, right?
I wouldn't say I was a power user. I'm more just use it like regular email because I'm a terrible person.
Yes,
I'm more of a power user actually in Outlook, which is kind of funny, right?
that's true.
Yeah, I love Outlook actually. I'm a huge nerd. But Gmail is fantastic. I mean, I love Google products because Google Drive, the docs, and stuff that you can do in Google Drive is a million times light years ahead of what Microsoft is doing.
Yeah.
So, but this looks, I mean, I think it looks great. It's just like cleaning up the UI a little bit. And so I think it's gonna be great. I love the little calendar and stuff on the sidebar. I think that's gonna be handy. So if I used Google Calendar, it would be super handy. I mostly still use my work
Yeah.
because like, you know what I'm saying? I use my work calendar as my personal calendar because like,
Well, I do because
you know,
because I'll tell you I do the same thing. Let me tell you why. Because on the iPhone,
notebook.
if I'm not careful and I don't check both the boxes, I don't see my full calendar. And when I tell Siri the times I do use it and it decides to work, put this on my calendar, I'm not sure which calendar it's going to put it on.
Yeah, I don't want to double book myself either. So yeah, I only use one calendar, and that's my work calendar since it's what I have to use at work.
Yeah.
So yeah, I wish we used Google at work.
I know.
Maybe one day we can. You don't wish we used Google at work?
Oh, no. I am
Oh,
fully
you do?
for it. I am fully for it.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I was about to say. I was like, who are you, Daryl?
No, I am fully for I am fully for getting rid of all the Microsoft stuff we've got and going
OneDrive and
Google.
stuff, it is just so clunky. It just doesn't work half the time, and
it's bad.
it's just frustrating. It's hard to like share things, and it's just not as simple as as Google is. So
Yep.
anyway, that's our review for that. If you got a church, use Google.
There you go.
All right, let's talk about Mark.
Oh, Mr. Zuckerberg
Mark.
goes to Congress.
Yes. So, let's before we talk about this. So, I actually got to hang out with some people from Facebook.
Yeah.
At the Q conference, and they're Christians, which is awesome, right? There was Christians at Facebook, which is incredible. Apparently, there's a lot of Christians at Facebook. And she said some really cool things are happening there. And so it was really neat just to hear her perspective of other than like just talking about how they're praying for Mark. And they're praying that this congressional hearing really kind of opens his eyes to look for more purpose. And she said he's asking a lot of really good questions, and they're finding a lot of data that points out that biblical principles were actually good and true all along, right? Like they're doing all this research and data to find out how you should live, and it's all pointing back to scriptures. And she's like, she was like, it just seems like he's very much on the path of understanding. And so I don't know, before anybody like starts hating on Zuckerberg, like instead of doing that, maybe you should just pray for him. Because I mean, that was something that changed in my heart too. Cause I was like, at the end of the day, he's a real person, and the people who work at Facebook are real people, and they have jobs, and so yeah. Anyway, that was my preacher soapbox for today. So.
Yeah, I got interviewed by the Baptist Press, called me today and wanted some quotes from me on the subject, and I said at the end of the day regarding this thing, and if you watch it, by the way, if you want to know a couple of things why I think the whole thing is interesting, why we put it in the show notes is one, it gives you a good idea of how little Congress knows about the work that you do, which majority of us do a lot of work on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and how little they actually know about that, how little it's actually regulated. So that to me was quite interesting, the lack of depth of questions that they received. But one of the things that I said was that at the end of the day, you have to understand Facebook's business model is always going to drive them towards these type of incidents. And it's not because I think they act in a malicious way. It's the nature of what they've created. So
right. It's the nature of the beast.
It's the nature of the beast.
And so how do they tame the beast?
Yeah.
And so I think that it's all such a learning process, right? Because it's such a new thing.
Yeah.
It's not like social media has been around for hundreds of years
Right.
and they just used it wrong. I mean, I don't know. It's kind of like,
Well,
newspapers used to be in those things, right? And you put a quarter in and you hope that somebody didn't take the entire stack.
Yeah.
Right? We had this like blind system of trust. And so I think, in the same way, Facebook, it's a brand new thing and you're hoping that somebody didn't take, more than they should have. And obviously in this case, they did.
Well, it is, and it's also a little bit like this. It is new in the sense of the fact, like, remember when we had cars, you weren't required to wear a seatbelt when you first got cars. And then somebody came along and said, you know what, we should require seatbelts.
Right.
And so we're catching up, and so
we're learning to be responsible with data.
Yeah. And here's how. So yeah, if you are at a church, you're going, great. This is, I watch this, but how does this affect me if I'm at a church and I'm doing social media? I think there's a couple of things. One, I think the future is going to show it's going to be harder to do marketing on Facebook. I think you're going to have to jump through a lot more hoops.
Mm-hmm. Which we're going to talk about one of those hoops in a second.
Yeah, we're one of those hoops in a second. But I think you could see more European style legislation being put in place in regards to how you use people's data.
Mm-hmm. And I think that's good. I don't think there's anything bad about that. But the thing is, the reason they get this data, the reason they gather this data is to tailor ads that are for you.
Right.
And otherwise you would be seeing ads that maybe aren't relevant to you. And you're like, well, I don't care, like, because I see ads that aren't relevant to me all the time, right? But then it almost makes the internet a more pleasurable experience because you get to find new products that you probably would have never heard of, but you probably would enjoy, if they were available to you. Like, there's all these new deodorants that are like, chemical free or whatever. And I get a lot of ads for those because I don't want to use aluminum deodorant, right? But
so wait, how do they know to give you those ads? I really want to know.
Because I looked up like deodorant, I guess, on the internet at some point. Yeah, Lindsay and I like try to find different like organic deodorant.
For those
that's a big deal for women's health, Daryl. I know that you don't know that. No. Breast cancer is a really big problem.
For those of you who don't know, one of Katie's favorite things to do, and I occasionally walk into her office space and find her and one of our designers doing it. She likes to go on a place called Alibaba and go and which is basically you can buy anything you want from China, and Katie is deal hunting on China. So I'd be less surprised if you got more stuff from like Alibaba ads is what I would suspect, but I didn't think about the deodorant ads.
I don't really. That's kind of like the odd thing, I guess, that they don't track me in China. I don't know. I'm not getting Chinese ads or anything.
That's the title of this episode, by the way. They don't track me in China. That's what
they don't track me in China. They could care less. They're like, we're going to get her money anyway.
We got her money. We don't need a tracker.
Yeah. So, but I don't know, the Cambridge Analytica thing, I think it's interesting too, because that each person who signed up for those quizzes, right? Like they accepted that they were going to give their information and their friends' information over to this company.
Yes.
And so there is some part of that responsibility should come back to the user, right? Like to me, I'm like, it's a two-way street of responsibility. Like, yes, they shouldn't have asked, and yes, they shouldn't have been able to download.
Right.
Maybe there needs to be more restriction on that. But yes, at the end of the day, you still click, I accept these terms.
Yeah, I think it's a little bit maybe like it needs to be a little bit like how we have on the side of any food item you buy. There's a standardized list of like the food item contains these things, these nutrients,
it may
these
be hot,
ingredients.
and you may die.
Yeah, exactly. But like I think the standard thing was when you open up and you sign up to a service, it just says we do the following with your data. This is where it's going to go. This is who's going to see it. I
love when people love to copy and paste those things on Facebook. Like, Facebook doesn't own my data, even though I'm writing on it right now. Like, I'm like, guys, no matter what you put, like, they own your data. Like, you're sharing it to them. Like, they own your photos. Like, these things they'll say that they're yours or whatever, and they won't use them in their advertising. But at the same time, like, it's theirs.
Well, that's the part that's a little, this is where
hairy, right?
This is where Zuckerberg, I think, was very smart in the way he answered the question. Was he kept saying, "You can download anything you've uploaded. You have control over your data," and technically that's true. You do have control of stuff that you've put on the system, but I don't have control of stuff that people have put on the system about me. So, for example, I downloaded all of Facebook's data on me yesterday and found out like all the advertisers who have my contact information that uploaded it to run ads for me.
Mm-hmm.
So like I joked that the Justice League movie apparently somehow got my information.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
So like
mine is really odd too.
yeah, so like so I don't have control over that. So
Right.
technically he's right on one level, but on another level you don't have control over that.
Yeah. I mean, well, you can go in and actually remove those though, if you wanted to. Did you know that?
Well, I went into the tool.
So,
I didn't see where I could, but I can't remember.
yeah. So if you go into settings
Yeah.
and then you go to add settings,
Yeah.
you can click your information and then you can click your categories and you can just remove whatever categories that they have about you on there. So it's so funny. My categories are so interesting. So if y'all have never done this, go on there and you can learn what Facebook knows about you or what it thinks they know about you. Because to me, I'm like, they don't really know anything about me. First off, they're saying that I am Hispanic. They also say that I am African American, which it isn't true, obviously.
Right.
I do care about African American and Hispanic, like culture and stuff. So I do Google that stuff a lot. So that might be why. They also say that I'm very conservative, which is not true. So that's kind of funny, right? So I don't know. They're pulling such interesting things that aren't necessarily true. So I don't know.
See,
and then they say I'm a commuter.
See, I removed and cleaned all that up. What I'm talking about is when advertisers have your email address and your contact info and they upload it to run an ad.
Oh yeah,
you don't have control over that.
Right, you don't. Yeah.
And that's why I don't think people quite understand when he says that he's technically right. You on that, but at the same time, he's dancing a fine line. That was the thing where I was disappointed. Like somebody from Congress didn't like kind of say like, what do you really mean by that?
Mm-hmm.
So, but again, going back to how this affects your church is. Well, let's jump at the next story, Katie.
Okay.
So Zuckerberg did throw a post up on his, I guess, is that his personal profile where he's posting that, or is that a page? I guess it's.
Yeah, that's his personal.
Yeah, so he wrote a long post about basically how, and I think we've seen this over the last, 6-7 weeks where he's just started progressively started posting more. And it looks like there are going to be, if you run political ads, there are going to be some more hoops you got to jump through. But now it looks like if your page, and he doesn't say, I don't think he gives a metric, but when your page reaches a certain size, you now have to verify ownership as the page manager or the admin. You're going to have to do some sort of verification to prove that you're a human and not a...
Yeah. Like the blue check mark and the gray check mark used to be things that were very optional and you could still run ads without those. Yeah. But very soon, if not already today, you're going to have those blue or gray check marks in order to do something like that. And it's easy. Literally, you just, they will call you. And so if you have like a robocall thing that answers for you, you're going to have to figure that one out. Or like we have a receptionist that answers the phone. So I had to be like, Helen, this person, like Facebook's going to call you and give you some digits, write down the digits and call me back with them. So that was I did that with every receptionist at all of our churches.
Except for you did have one receptionist who refused to give you the digits because she thought you were a scammer.
That was a hilarious time. I had one receptionist because I never met her and I said, hi, I'm Katie Allred. I work at Brentwood Baptist. I do the internet. I was like, Facebook's going to call you and give you some numbers. I need you to write them down and give them back to me. And then she was like, who are you? I was like, I work at Brentwood Baptist. Like, I know Doug Jones, who's your pastor. Please ask him about me. Like, and then she just like went on this conspiracy theorist thing, which was funny. But like good for her, not to just give out information to anybody, I guess.
Good for her.
Like, I don't know. That's like, I think that's great. But it was funny though. I was really because I had no trouble from everybody else. Like maybe we should do training again. Maybe that was actually a good test to find out who would give out our information just willy nilly.
She was like, yeah, and it was for Google. It was like, wasn't it like her to Google?
Oh, yeah, it was Google. I was trying to claim the business
verify
page.
Businesses on Google, and she wouldn't do that. I
do it.
That was great. I forgot about that.
It was funny.
Yes.
That's a good story. I should blog about that one.
Yeah, so it looks like, and again, we talked about before how this is going to affect. I think this is one small example. I think how we run ads in the future are going to get more restrictive.
Which they already have, right?
Yeah.
Like they've already restricting religious ads in a way.
Yep.
They've already started restricting ads with a lot of text and images and stuff. So I don't know. It's going to be an interesting.
Yeah.
We'll see how it goes.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes. All right. And the last story. So you may have heard of the company called Piper Jeffrey. They are basically a firm who does a lot of like prediction stuff. They do a lot of market research. They're kind of one of the leading market research companies in the world. And they just released twice a year, they do a study on teens, specifically Gen Z this time around, and what they're using and where they go to get all their stuff. And so they've released their survey results. So in that survey results, and we're going to link to the infographic they've got, it basically gives you a breakdown of where teenagers are going for video consumption, for social media, everything from like footwear brands, shopping trends, websites they go to, clothing brands. They have a category called top handbag brands. Hey, and skincare products, Katie. Let's see if they have any deodorant listed there.
Those handbag brands have really changed. I know that you like laughed at that, but like when I was in college, Coach was definitely number one.
Yes.
And so Michael Kors and Kate Spade kind of came out of like nowhere in the last 10 years,
well,
I guess.
The funny thing is, if you look at the clothing brands, I am surprised.
American Eagle's still on there.
That kind of surprised me. It really
that
did.
surprises me too. They're also a top shopping website, which I'm very surprised. But then I guess at the same time, I guess teenagers still need clothes.
Yep, there you go. But the big one we want to focus on is a couple things. One, video consumption. Where are teenagers consuming video? It's Netflix, YouTube, cable, then Hulu, which I'm honestly surprised that Hulu's on there.
I'm also why is Facebook not on there? Oh,
well,
we'll find out because the bottom tells us why.
Well, I'm also surprised like Twitch isn't on there. I thought Twitch would have been. I thought Twitch would have been higher. In terms of social media platforms, number one social media platform is Snapchat with 45%. Number two is Instagram. Number three is Twitter at 9%. Facebook is at 8%, and then Pinterest is at 1%. So here's the question I have for you, Katie. When you look at that list, I'm referring to that bottom list over the Snapchat, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, Pinterest. Mm-hmm. Do you think, is that permanent or is that change with age? Do they grow out of those platforms and are they going to grow into Facebook?
That's a great question that I don't know if I can answer. Facebook, we've said it before. Yeah. Facebook is like a white page, right? It's a place to look up someone and to chat. I think Facebook Messenger is still super popular. I know Facebook Messenger wasn't listed on here, and I don't even know if they asked. But I think Facebook Messenger is still going to be very relevant, or WhatsApp or whatever. But I don't know if Snapchat will still be cool and they're 32 with a baby. I feel like they're going to grow into maybe Pinterest and Instagram by that point. But I don't know. Maybe Snapchat will change too. I mean, they're pivoting as well. So, Snapchat has such a strong thing that, it makes you think again. We talked about this last time. Maybe we should look more into Snapchat, right?
Well, I'll use our social media intern as an example. Lisa does not have a Facebook account. She's got Instagram.
Yep. That's true.
I don't even know if she has. I didn't ask her if she has Snapchat, but I'm finding more and more don't have Facebook, and so I'm wondering if they just never going to grow into it. If they never grow into it, then I really think we're going to be working in an Instagram, Snapchat world here pretty soon.
More consumable content that goes away, not something that lasts forever. So, a bulletin doesn't last forever, right? You normally get rid of it within a week anyway. So it's going to be more like that, but for social media.
Yeah, I just think Seth Muse is asking the question. He says there's a chance that the reality is that probably could switch over just to keep up with family and friends. There's not a better way. I agree to a certain degree, but however, I think majority of young adults and these Gen Z, if you will, I think they're using Instagram to do that. I don't think they because if you think about it, they're just posting photos. That's how they keep up. They're not typing. They're posting videos and photos. Well, you can do that on Instagram just fine, and specifically in the stories.
Yeah.
So. We'll see. I think that, also the thing about the Snapchat, what they don't say here is that I don't think they're treating Snapchat like it's a social media platform. I think they treat it like it's a messaging platform. And
I do too. I almost feel like maybe it shouldn't even be included in social media. Because it's a different platform to me almost.
It should compete with
very one-on-one, not one-to-many.
Yeah, it should compete with WeChat and Snapchat. and WeChat and Facebook Messenger, I would think. It'd be in my mind, it'd be more comparative.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, hey, now we're getting time we have to lift something up that we like. So, I've got one thing that actually was super helpful this week, but during all the Facebook stuff during Congress, and that is there's a writer named Casey Newton who writes for one of my favorite websites, our favorite website, The Verge, and he writes this really awesome daily newsletter called The Interface, and it's all about Facebook. That's all it is. It's just all, like I say, it's a lot about Facebook. So every day you get a truckload of Facebook news dumped into your inbox, and I get it every morning. I scan through it, and I find at least 2 or 3 things I didn't know. Even it could be features, it could be things that are happening, and definitely worth your time. It's well written. It's real quick, easy sign up. He's on review. That's where he's running it out of. So check it out. It's called The Interface with Casey Newton. So there you go.
Sweet.
Katie, got anything you want to lift up?
I was trying to think about that. Okay, so I actually posted about this in the group. So I met a friend at Q conference yesterday. Her name is Joanna, and she is a director of marketing at Abide, which is a prayer and meditation app. So if you enjoy a guided prayer experience, which a lot of members of our church do, especially via Facebook Live with our pastor, this is basically a guided prayer experience over an app. And it's really great. It just like reads scripture to you and kind of gives you a devotional or whatever, and plays soothing music. And I don't know, I'm really into it. So give it a try for your, if you need some help being like pushed into more of a quiet time. I think I'm really enjoying it just for personal use. So
it looks well designed.
It's super well designed, and they're doing. I just think it's really cool. I think there's Christians doing really cool things in these spaces. So I want to, lift them up, even though I think we're supposed to talk about secular things. Sorry.
Oh man.
Christian girl problems.
Yes. Alrighty. Normally we'd plug the Big Idea Conference at this point, but registration's closed for it. So we'll see you next week. So if you registered, we can't wait to see you next week. If you didn't, you know what? We'll see you on the podcast. So until then.
Yeah, we got to figure out how we're going to do that.
Yeah, we got to figure out how we're going to do the podcast. And
we got to do it live at Loveless Wednesday night.
We may have to do it live, because also Ask Adam we're trying to figure out how to do his live. So all of our podcasts next week may be live from the conference. So who knows? So, however, if you are listening on iTunes, hit that subscribe button, leave us a review. If you're watching on Facebook, hit the share button, hit the like button. And if you're on YouTube, hit the red subscribe button. We'd really appreciate it. Until next week. And hopefully, by the way, we can meet you in person. By the way, please, when you're at the conference, come up and say hi. We want to kind of get to know all you guys who are coming to the conference, get to meet you one-on-one. So please do that.
Yeah, I'm really good at hugs, so.
Yes, Katie is really good. She's really good at that stuff.
You can also check us out at churchcommunications.com.
Yes. All right. Until next week, you guys take care.